I really wish I understood what real true freedom was.
Welcome to the Measure Success podcast, where I talk with top leaders about effective strategies that inspire success. Thank you so much for making this podcast for 2 years in a row one of the top 10 podcasts for strategic planning and execution. Super excited about that. That's been, we just can't believe it, honestly, because we didn't apply to this. We just were told. And so we're honored by that. And so thank you so much. And it's because of the listener, commenting. We always appreciate that when you do that. And secondly, because of guests like we have today, Mark Podolsky, he's been on our show beforehand. He also spoke at 40 Strategy Workshop. He is currently in warm Scottsdale, Arizona, which is right by where we had the podcast in Phoenix. And Mark, I'm going to go a little bit more into Mark, but he's AKA the Land Geek. If you haven't heard, he's a real estate investor, entrepreneur, educator. And what his real secret is he helps you create passive income done in a way that you typically wouldn't do. And he's really figured out the system around that. He has a book called Dirt Rich. He also has the Land Geek Passive Income Blueprint. He's working on the third book, which we're going to talk about today. He is AI crazy. He's having a hard time sleeping because he's designing his own software. Mark, you're not a software engineer, but he is a software engineer right now with Claude and other tools. Hey, Mark, welcome to the Mess Podcast.
Carl, thanks again for having me. And I'm such a big fan of you in the podcast. And I'm just humbled and honored to spend time with you, brother. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, it's so fun. It's one of the best parts of this podcast is meeting people like you. I mean, how cool that was. We decided to have our workshop. I'm like, hey, Mark, can you make it? I mean, you got a crazy busy. You were working on your own workshop, right? And you're like, hey, I could give you like 2 hours, but you did it. You brought it. Thank you so much for being present during that and giving a great presentation, which was fantastic. And so let's pop into just your core, just in case people don't know it. And you got into here for a reason, right? You used to be an investment banker and you were grinding and doing that stuff and working crazy hours. And then you're like, hey, there might be a better way. So just once again, for those who don't know you, just share a little bit about that story about getting to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Carl, is it okay? Can I just do a sidebar and just talk a little bit about your workshop for a second?
Please, that'd be an
From
honor.
from from a speaker experience.
Yeah.
So first of all, because I've been doing these events for years, maybe 12, 13, 14 years. So I know how hard it is to put on a good, effective workshop. And the first one I did, I didn't even sleep. I had a guy flying in from Australia, and I'm going through. I'm like, how am I going to talk about land for 2.5 days? And so I'm preparing for my big workshop before I'm speaking. I go in the room, and it is so well organized, and I see the booklet that you give all the attendees, and comparison is a thief of happiness. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like unbelievably good. And I'm like, dude, can I have like, so I sent it to my team. I'm like, this is what quality looks like. So thank you for raising the bar, which is insane because I've been doing this for years. And this is your first one.
Yeah.
So if anyone is on the fence about attending this workshop, just do it. It is an unbelievable value driven event. And not only is the networking amazing and the speakers are amazing, but the quality of people, like these bunch of private equity people is amazing. So anyways, I digress. I'll talk a little bit about me.
Hey, Mark, thank you. First of all, thank you. That means a lot, especially because you do them and we were blown away by the event, and thank you so much because it means obviously so much more coming from somebody else who is present and it goes through these things. And we know we're so, as you know, that was our first that we had back in 25. It's the beginning of many, many more. We have another one scheduled the exact same time period, beginning in November, again in in the Phoenix area, exact same location. And yeah, it's our goal to get to 10 to 12 a year. That's where our intent is. But it's and those who don't know, 40 business owners only, 8 to 10 expert speakers, one-on-one sessions. It's different, right? It's a different experience,
It's different.
That's what we're trying to create, is where you really create relationships and you actually learn something you take away. So thank you. But let's get back to you again. So thank you once again for the sidebar, Mark. Um, how did you get to here? Like, how in the heck did you go from quote unquote the secure but painful life of being an investment banker, right, to getting into what you're doing today, which is passive investing through land? So describe that once again, how you got to there.
Yeah, so I was miserable. I was a miserable, micromanaged 45-minute commute to work and back investment banker. I was specializing with private equity groups, mergers and acquisitions. And it's just a grind. You have no agency. I remember, we'd be closing this big deal, and all of a sudden they don't like the CEO doesn't like the perk package, and I'm counting my 6-figure commission, and it's like a stiletto to your heart. And when it falls apart on the 1 yard line, so I was just in a lot of pain, and so my firm hired this guy. He's telling me as a side hustle, he's buying up raw land at tax deed auctions. He's flipping them online. He's making 300% on his money. And Carl, that those numbers don't make sense.
Right.
So, especially when you're analyzing companies literally all day long. I mean, great companies, what, 15% EBITDA margins, free cash flow, average is 10%. Looking at companies all day long, less than 10%. So, of course, I don't believe him. I'm from Missouri, the show me state. So I've got 3 grand saved up for car repairs. And I go to this New Mexico auction with him. I do exactly what he tells me to do. I buy 10 half-acre parcels, an average price of $300 each. I sell them online, and they all sell for an average price of $1,200 each. It worked. So I took all that money. I went to another auction. Again, this is 2000. There's no one in the room. There's no competition. I'm buying lots of acres for nothing. I sell all that land. I made $90,000 cash. So I go to my pregnant wife and say, honey, I'm going to quit my job and become a full-time land investor. And she's like, absolutely not. So I said, okay, okay. So it took 18 months for the land investing income to exceed the
Mm.
investment banking income. And then I quit. As of today, I've done over 6,500 land deals. We have a group so that helps. So I help everybody along the economic spectrum. So essentially, if you've got no money and tons of time, I'll teach you this stuff for free. We have YouTube videos, we have the podcast, Auto Passive Income Podcast. You could do it yourself and replicate the model. But if you got a good W-2, we'll do it with you and accelerate you. And then if you're an accredited investor, just give us money. We'll do it for you. We'll partner with you. So we help everyone along the economic spectrum. My mission in life is to help everyone get out of what I call solo economic dependency, which means if they're personally not working, they're not making any money. And so solopreneurs, W-2, take on people who solve their money problems, but not their time problems, right? The doctor, the lawyer, the dentist. So think about a dentist. Their hands are in the patient's mouth. They're generating revenue. Hands not in the patient's mouth, no revenue. So how do we escape that? And so the model that I created is this one-time sale. You get passive income every single month, no renters, no rehabs, no renovations, no rodents. And if you're listening to this, please be skeptical. I'm making it sound really easy. It ain't easy. Nothing worth doing in life is easy. But once you get through the hard part of it, then you have a machine that is building this passive income, and you can solve not just your money problems, but also your time problems, and work because you want to, not because you have to.
Just out of curiosity, I know, of course, results may vary. And so no guarantee here, of course, of things, but in general, what is the return now? I mean, that was a crazy return you had when there was no competition back in the day in the early 2000s. A lot has changed, right? Over quarters, it's been going on for a while. What's happening now, right? Is it still good? Is this still working well?
It's working better than ever
No kidding.
because
Wow.
we have so many things going for us.
Mm.
So now you've got better technology, number one. So our costs go down. We're operating more efficiently, and we have better data. So when I first started, there was no such thing as Zamplo or Data Tree where I could go and start getting all this data about
Mm.
what are good markets, what are bad markets, get a list from a county and mail that list. I mean, it was all very manually done. I mean, I was handwriting letters, my first batch of letters. Then I hired Janie in South Carolina, my first virtual assistant, to handwrite the letters for me. Now it's all automated. 90% of this business now is automated with inexpensive software on the front end, inexpensive virtual assistants, and then inexpensive software on the back end managing the notes. And so what's going on today is that the fundamentals of the business from when I started in 2000 remain the same.
Mm.
Number one, it's super boring. You go to a real estate investment association meeting, right? They're going to be landlords, wholesalers, multifamily, flippers, right? Housing. Everyone needs a house. Nobody needs raw land, but 99% of what we have in our lives we don't need. So you've got this really boring niche. You're not going to go on HGTV or the DIY network and see flip this land. Before pictures raw land, the after pictures raw land.
Look, it
So,
hasn't changed.
so hasn't changed. It's still inefficient. You don't go on Zillow and see that, oh, there's been 55 different land sales in this rural area. So the comps are all over the place. And so you've got this inefficient market. You can't go to a bank and get a land loan. So all we're doing is bringing liquidity to this inefficient market where it doesn't exist, and that has remained the same. As a result, the margins have remained the same. The quote unquote competition, there isn't any because you've got a massive market. We talk about billions of acres of land, no private equity groups, no hedge funds. So it's like a little cottage industry. So it's just gotten better. It's a fine line business. And then, the way the numbers work out, it's the longer you're in it. So we use this thing called a land contract. So Carl, let's say that you buy 10 acres from me for $20,000 and my cost basis on it is $5,000. So you put $1,000 down, you're paying me $500 a month at 12% interest. And all of a sudden you lose your job. Or you just are like, something happens and you can't afford the land anymore. Well, a default is typically a bad thing.
Mm.
Not when you use a land contract because there's no cost of foreclosure. I still own the underlying asset. So I give you notice, say, hey, you're in default. You've got 30 days to cure. And now you've lowered my cost basis and I resell that property again, which increases my yield, increases my ROI. And so the longer you're in this, I mean, I have a client, he did the math. He's like, Mark, I made $250,000 last year on defaults.
Wow.
This is real money.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, game changing, right? Literally game changing type experiences. And what I love what you talked about there is how you've made something. Well, you're passionate around this. You're making something that is. I love nobody's going on to Zillow to look at product. I love that. To something that boring. Hey, look, there's the land. We just passed the land. It's interesting. You're living up here, and you have the same in Arizona. Once you get outside the greater Phoenix area, there's a lot of land, right? Same thing in Oregon here, right? But it's funny. It's like I always laugh at when people. Sorry, a little side thing here, but very related. When people will make this comment of I wish I could have land. What they're saying is, I want land 5 minutes away from my business that I can afford. That's really what they're saying. They're not saying I want land because land is abundant and plentiful. It just, can you make money there? But
Right.
what's interesting is, what I love what you're doing is you're literally making money off the land. And that,
Right.
and
Right.
that's the irony behind
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah. So we're just making land cash flow like a rental home without the headaches.
Yeah, love it. Okay. You, first of all, great story behind what you do. I love it how you develop these three things. We're going to go here and we're not going to let it kill the whole show because, yes, everybody talks about AI and we do, but you are all in right now. There's most people I know are doing something, right? But you were saying you were having a hard time sleeping because you're having FOMO and you're designing your own as learning management systems, and you're doing a ton of work. Let me say this because, and you get what I'm about to say here. Sometimes we do things and it's fun, but it doesn't actually create a return on investment. Okay. I get the impression by what you're saying is what you're doing is not only working, but it's actually helping you make more money. So describe some of the things that you're doing and the power behind it and why you're having a hard time sleeping at night because you're having so much fun doing it.
Okay, so I've been having so much fun. I couldn't sleep to the point where like I got sick for 2 weeks. It's like my body broke down and said, "Look, Mark, you've got to do something else besides AI." So essentially, when OpenClaw came out, or I think it's called OpenClaw now. I went out and I got a Mac Mini, and I have this separate instance, and I just started, fooling around and finding out what it could do. And through Telegram, I would just talk to it like I would an employee. So I was giving it background information on myself, my goals. I was creating skills for it. I took all the job descriptions of my entire team and said, let's create agents. Let's create, let's here's the org chart. And we gave agents a name. So now I have a whole agent squad in Discord. And so I then, and because I'm not technical, I started going in and started giving it more technical issues. So for example, development. There's certain engineering principles. It needed these skills. It's very forgetful. So I created this thing, or I didn't create it, but like there was a thing called QMD that would help it learn from its mistakes. And so I started creating this super like employee, if you will. So I remember my COO saying, "Hey, Mark, we should hire an executive assistant for you and me. They'll do this and this and this." I'm like, "Laura, no worries, I got you." And so I created an executive assistant, and this executive assistant checks my email. It will alert me if there's a VIP email. It
Mm,
will create drafts. It manages my calendar because I tell it I don't want any gaps in my calendar. Like Carl, like, you've got a 10 o'clock, an 11 o'clock, and a 12 o'clock. Like it's nice that back to back things, maybe a bio break of 5 minutes in between meetings. But then you've got like this little turd on your calendar at 4 o'clock, right? I don't want the turd on my calendar. So Jarvis knows no turds. Reschedule it so it's back to back.
yeah.
And so, and then I also gave it browser control and I gave it a ramp virtual card. So we use ramp. And so he
Mm.
has a $500
Oh,
limit.
really? Okay, that's cool.
And so I was like, hey, look, just have this podcast with Carl. I want you to go and research Carl's social. And I want you to understand intimately what makes Carl tick and buy him a specific gift, thanking him for letting me be on his podcast. So your budget is $250. So it will go. And it's like, oh, Carl loves the Oregon Ducks. We're going to go ahead and get him a special, coffee mug because he seems to like coffee or whatever it is that you're into, and a gift, not marketing. It's not going to be Land Geek branded. It's an actual gift. So it understands these things. And so I have the executive assistant. And then but I have all these businesses. And so then it's like every day I have a surprise and delight. And I was just talking to it today. I'm like, look, I'm overwhelmed. Like you're giving me too much work. I have YouTube scripts. I have API intelligence. I have outbound things. I mean, it's just too much work. Like you're killing me. And so I'm like, look, let's just focus on two priorities now. Let's go very deep, not wide. And so this starts asking me questions, and I'm just having a ball with it. And then any software that I have that I'm using, I'm like, let's just recreate it. So I
Mm.
have a product manager, I have a developer. They go back and forth. I have a QA agent, and they use ChatGPT for code and Opus Sonnet for reasoning, and anything for intent. I wanted to use Grok because of Twitter, and then uh, anything for search, I wanted to use Gemini.
Mm.
So I go in and I just keep learning things. I have FOMO. It's terrible, but it's also great. It's too much power, Carl. It's too much power.
Well, but what I genuinely love this, and once again, I hope people who are listening to this are getting fired up by what Mark's talking about here. Um, first of all, you've gone all in, but we've had different people. We've talked about like just 1 hour a day focus, making some transformational differences. You always got to the point of losing sleep and you get sick over it. Okay, but it's self-corrected. Human nature worked and got you. But the cool thing is though, is you're asking this question, right? And we had that with our speakers at our event, where they're like, no, you have to think of AI as your operating system, not a tool. And that's where you're going. That's what I love about this conversation, right? You're changing the whole game about, hey, can we? And 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 I say this over and over again just because I've seen quote unquote improvement people make over time. I think a lot of money is being spent right now with no ROI,
Yeah.
because you really have to fix something that's costing you something. If you're not making more money after the end of the result, you're fooling yourself. You haven't made any more money.
Right.
Right? But if you're
Right.
actually making more money, then it's a worthwhile effort. It's a worthwhile event, right? Of going through there. So um, that to me is once again is what I love about what you're doing. You're actually creating higher ROI. You gave a description to my earlier. You looked at your credit transactions and you saved 10 grand just by being more effective, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It just said, hey, you don't need this subscription. This is doubled up. You're not using this. And I found overage in my Zoom account. That was like a lot of money. So I went to the teams like, we have overage here. Just create a script to put all of this extra video storage into Google Drive. And it
Mm,
did.
wow.
And so it's but to your point, it's like, okay, time is money. So where can you save me time? And then also where can you make me money? And the more it has context on your goals, the better it's gonna be. And it's and for me, like it's 80% there. It's still like a good intern. I'm not shipping any of its work yet.
Oh yeah. I mean, yes, right. Like there's still it's evolving, right? But it's evolving if you embrace it, it's evolving the right direction, right?
Right.
The I think what has happened with many in the early stages, like, oh, I heard a story that ChatGPT said something wrong, so I'm not going to use it anymore, right? Oops. Like it's like you got clouded over by no ton of pun intended there with cloud cloud. I mean, but it's like
Yeah.
you like literally got frozen on a headline. I think one of my favorite was we were evaluating getting a new. We have a pump. We live out in the rural area in Oregon, and our water pump was finally going out, and we are not mechanical either, and none of us are engineers, and so we get these bids, and they look completely different. Like like it's a foreign language to us. My wife, who is not tech savvy at all, she'd be the first one to tell you that. She throws it into ChatGPT, and I come home and she's like, look at this analysis I did to help us understand it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just Sarah, I mean, like, once again, you blew me away when I came home and saw that event. I mean, it was just like an amazing, like, thing. These are the type of things that I think is super powerful, right? Of like when we can gain greater understanding, recognizing, like, it's funny. I have ChatGPT, of course. How did I get your thing, ChatGPT, right? It literally pulled up your bio again, even though I knew who you are. It's just like fun to get a reminder right behind it. But it does say in the bottom, hey, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. It's not perfect, but it's better than old Google search.
Oh, I haven't Googled. I I've been using Perplexity for a year now.
Yes.
I can't tell you the last time I Googled something, but I'll use Gemini now on the
Right.
phone.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gemini's powerful. Exactly. And I loved how you said there that's your favorite search engine. The irony, right, is Gemini is your favorite search engine, but traditional Google is like painful now, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're hoping it like comes up with the if you happen to go there of the AI view of it, and even then it's too short because they're just trying to make money from ads, right? It's a dilemma for them,
Right.
right? Huge dilemma. Um, okay, you are getting ready to write a third. You are in the process, I believe, of writing your third book.
Yeah.
That's first of all, good for you. You got your two, and you're going to third. I mean, it's a big deal. Even with tools to make things easier, it's still your heart and soul. When you when you put a book out there. So tell us about this book. Why are you doing it, and where is it going?
Yeah, because I've gone through this journey. Um, I'm in midlife. I'm 54, and so I've gone through this journey of entrepreneurship, and I'm sort of teaching people how to solve their money problems and their time problems. But along this journey, what good is it if you're not enjoying it? If you're suffering the whole time?
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, how can you strive like a duck? How can you be calm and peaceful above while you're striving and paddling furiously below? And and so if the first book, Dirt Rich, is about how to get into the land business, the second book, Dirt Rich 2, is how to scale your land business. And I'm making the assumption that if you've implemented this, you've solved your money problem, you've solved your time problems. Now you're in my situation, you have an existential crisis,
Mm,
right? It's like, okay, well, but then why aren't I happy? Why is there still this underlying hum of anxiety? Why am I afraid of losing what I've built? Why do I keep driving for this thing? Like, what's really driving me?
mm,
And am I even aware of it? Why do I keep moving the goalposts? If I look back, 15 years from now, uh 20-year-old Mark would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how amazing this is. Today, more money, I don't even feel it. I
mm.
literally don't feel it. It's it's like the law of diminishing returns, right? I mean, it's like, the first bite of the great meal is amazing. By the time that last bite, you're like, okay, it's all good. With the second time you go to your favorite restaurant, it's not as good as the first. And it's the same thing with everything. So if nothing out there is really going to satisfy, then okay, let's go through the internal experience, like what does satisfy. And so it's a book about, here's what I did, here's how I suffered, here's some things that might help you not suffer as I go through this journey. And so it's not a very preachy book. It's more sort of an entrepreneurial memoir, uh, of all the ways I've made mistakes, all the ways I've hurt relationships, all the ways I wasn't present in this striving,
Mm.
where I could have done it differently. And I think that for those of you who are entrepreneurial, you might see yourselves in it, and you're like, and just having that extra awareness, you might be able to pivot quicker than I did, not have to go through 14 years of therapy, not have to go through 2 darkness retreats, like, you know, and suffer. So, that's what the book is about. And Carl, you and I were talking about the second mountain. So there's this book by David Ricks called The Second Mountain. And so the first mountain is egoic, and we do what culture tells us to do. What our parents tell us to do,
Right.
right? We get a good education, we get a good job, we climb up, right? We get the good house, we get the nice car, we go on the nice vacations, we get to the top of this egoic mountain, we do all the signaling, we get our big Rolex, whatever it is, right? Like, we signal to the world, look, I made it. And then you're like, oh, it's empty. So then you go to the second mountain. The second mountain is about your vocation, your purpose. It's about your community. It's about your faith and spirituality. It's about love and intimacy, and deepening those relationships. It's a way harder mountain to climb because you never get to the top of it, but it's way more fulfilling. And so, can you climb that second mountain while enjoying the climb, right?
Yeah, it I'm gonna say something about this. It's interesting because I'm, currently growing two businesses, and there's obviously synergy between the two, 40 strategy and 40 accounting. And Mark, I'm actually at this moment working more hours than I have in a long time, but I'm loving it because I'm building something again, and I see the value around it. Today's particular day is 4 podcasts I'm recording today, which is much joy as it is to meet once again and connect with people like you, Mark. But also the gratitude that we get to share our insights and our lessons and things we learn to those who are listening. And of course, the goal here, the hope is it's planting a seed in their heart to create action, that they'll grow, the opportunity to go to the next level, like that part is like super amazing. But it's interesting for me, and this too, there's another thing here, right? It gets to this point, and a lot of people don't get what I'm talking about because they're not there yet. But for those who have made it and they by definition don't have to work again. And then there's this void often, right? Because like, so now what, right? Because my whole purpose was to provide. I've provided, right? It's happened. So where is that joy? Because especially for a lot of us who are achievers, we enjoy the daily success. It's a big reason why we call
Right.
this podcast. It's like, hey, how do we measure success? Every day, month, year, our life, right? Going really deep there. So I'm curious for you, what's the one thing discussing this, and I'm sure you'll touch it in this third book, you're like, I really wish I did that one thing differently.
I really wish I understood what real true freedom was. So it's it's an internal freedom. It's this liberation where every moment is the gift. In the sense that, can I be on the podcast with Carl and not be thinking about the AI project?
Mm,
Can I be on the AI project and not be thinking about the Q1 goal? Can I be completely free in that moment? Can I respond in my closest relationships and all my relationships intelligently? Can I have some distance from the default response from my conditioning? So I'll give you an example. I think I talked about this at at your conference, where my son, he's 16. You know how teenagers are when they're really hungry, and
ravenous. It's not hungry.
they're ravenous, right?
Yeah.
He's not hungry, but they're ravenous. So it's after basketball practice. He's like, "Dad, I'm starving. Can we go and get something to eat?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. Where do you want to go?" He's like, "In-N-Out Burger." I'm like, "Great, let's go to In-N-Out Burger." Who doesn't love In-N-Out Burger? So I'm like, "Hey, no, what do you want?" He's like, "I want 2 hamburgers, 2 orders of fries, and a shake." And I'm doing the math. I'm like, "Wait, this is like $16 for fast food." This is years ago, where $16 was a lot of money for fast food. Like to my mind, it's like $8. And the way I grew up, it was, you don't order a drink, you get water, number one. And number two, I could never ask my dad for 2 orders of fries or 2 burgers. I get a burger, I get fries, and get a water. $8, right? So I'm like, no, you're gonna get a burger, a fry, and a water. He's like, no, 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 I'm starving. I promise I won't waste it. I won't waste it. I'll eat both. I'm like, no, because I'm paying. And so I go home. He's upset. I'm upset because I'm like, this kid is entitled. He's spoiled. This is the story I'm telling myself.
Mm.
And he's like, my dad, what's wrong with my dad? Like, and so I go to my wife and of course he tells on me, like, Dad won't let me get the food. And she's like, was it really worth $8 for your son to be mad at you? And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, it has nothing to do with him in the story of entitlement. It's my unaware wound that I couldn't get these things, that I was just
Mm.
deprived as a kid. And so now I should say never, I really, really try not to put money ahead of the relationship. I'll over order. It's an abundant world. And so I try to do that with all my relationships now. Like, where am I not free?
Mm.
I hadn't had any freedom to react wisely. Well, it's not logical. $8, really? So that's been the thing, that the one thing is like, can I have this peace of mind in every interaction? And can I be completely present? Can I be free to see how to respond wisely and skillfully? And when I don't, inevitably, can I repair it?
Mm.
Can I repair it? Can I repair it quickly? And can I not let the story ruin the day? Right? How many times have you ruminated about, did I say this? Did I do this? And then you lose 2 hours of your day. Maybe you lose a day. And you're not even like, you're not even aware of the thoughts. and you're spinning out. So I want that freedom.
Boy, there was a lot, by the way. That
There
story,
was a lot in there. I
that
know.
was like, that was massive. We do not have time in this podcast to unpack all of that. But I think what's powerful for those who are listening, I'm sure people are listening that first of all, they can relate. If they have kids, they can relate to the starving kid. The once again, whether you have abundance or not, there's this. You do have these sometimes, even when you have. This is crazy. Why would I buy this, right? But then you have this other part of the repercussion part of like, what was I thinking? The other part that you wove into the story was this, but being present in the moment, and where I've been guilty too far too many times, it has been being at home but not being at home, right? Where
Yeah.
I'm at the table and it's like a fog and I'm still thinking about work or I'm thinking about something else that's going on or thinking about the next thing I need to do. And that's not good. I mean, when I don't mind saying when I get caught, in those scenarios, that's not good. And it's because it's destroying it. The relationship is more important than the business, right?
Right.
And the relationship and those different connections behind it. But yeah, it's something. And the mindful thing is oversaid, I think, a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, it's what it is. I mean, you have to be thinking, "Am I present?" Right? And
Yeah. I mean, to
that's
your
it.
point, like everything is easier than the relationship. Like, I'll hide and I'll numb in work. I'll hide and I'll numb in my meditation. I'll hide and I'll numb in a Netflix show. I'll hide and I'll numb in scrolling, checking email, getting a little dopamine hit. Did I get a sale? Did I not get a sale? Is the world responding to me? But to really be in that relationship and put all that away, it's harder than the business. And so I think naturally we we all sort of go to that striving, if you will, because it's a really good looking suit of armor. I mean, we get a lot for it, right? And it feels good. It feels good to have people, um, compliment you and to compliment your achievements and do all those things. But it it's sort of like this easy thing that looks hard. It's like, oh, it's hard to build a it is hard, but it's much harder to have a deep, fulfilling, intimate relationship, which is why it's a second mountain.
Multiple years ago, a gentleman named Dan Mube, he was a consultant for a company that I worked for. He was working with our executive team, and he challenged us on the concept of the being side versus the doing side. And I'm a doer by nature. I prefer a task over a discussion. It's my dopamine hit. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing things. It makes me happy. I'm not somebody, except for perhaps football, but I generally in the NCAA March Madness, right? But there's very few things I could get myself to sit down with. Like for me, a binging Netflix is like 2 episodes. I'm like, honey, I can't do anymore. it's like, it's like
Right.
that's like how I am.
Yeah.
I'm just not wired that way. Um, but the being side of who you are, he always says, is far more important than the doing side. Now they're both important, right? Because if you aren't doing off of your being, right, like what comes from it. Anyways, I just as people are listening and talking to this, I think it's important for us to think about that, what that means, impact we're having on those around us, our relationships, but also when we're doing it for the right reasons.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, I have no interest in going to a cave and meditating for 25 years. Like, that's not a fun life. Right. Like, you see these like enlightened people. It's like, okay, but you're not really in the world. Like, the world's amazing. There's all these incredible experiences you can have. And, money is important. These experiences are fun and you need money to do them. But
That's right.
there's like this very subtle difference between doing egoically. Am I doing it because I want my parents' approval? I want the world's approval. I I'm feeling some void in me, which is would never get filled. Or am I doing it for contribution? I
Mm.
want to help someone else. I'm doing it to fulfill a purpose that's bigger than me. And these are internal metrics that are way more important. And so it's this very fine line of navigating and striving where you can be like that duck, right? You're not reacting, you're not responding. You close a deal, you don't close a deal, you're still completely still and present and in the being while you're in the doing.
Mm.
It's this very subtle thing, and it's very, it's hard. But I think when you have the awareness of it, you can downshift into being and know, look, we're here for like a minute, right? None of this really matters. 3 generations, no one is gonna remember us. So nothing really, you know, in the cosmic sense, really matters in that sense. So have fun doing it. Don't take yourself so seriously, and you know, enjoy your life. And all this striving is in doing to hopefully enhance those really important relationships with your closest family and friends.
Yep. Yep. Well said. Mark, how can people connect and learn more about what you're doing?
Great place would be go thelandgeek.com. Thelandgeek.com. And Carl, I can get you a link as well if they want to get the book Dirt Rich for free. Just pay shipping.
We do the picture here, like literally live. Here we go. Selfie within the selfie within the selfie. There we go. Okay, I just got to look at the camera. All right. We'll
All
post
right.
that, get that out there. Hey, Mark, I can't tell you how fun this has been. Um, and I love it. I love the journey you're going through. I mean, I know there's been ups and downs and challenges, and it's not all, not all roses, but uh, good for you for continue to work through it all. And I love it, this next book that you're doing. And I also love it that you're still growing. And one of the things that I think is awesome about your core business, you're helping to create passive income to give people these opportunities. Because most of us, this, Mark, and you've had told in a different podcast beforehand, being on here, of we had this tendency to live towards our revenue, our salary, right? And so it ends up we
Mhm.
going to net zero or even net slightly negative. It's amazing how it happens very so quickly. But the passive income part can be that point of freedom where it's enabling you to go on trips or enabling you to buy a house or enabling you to get these experiences that you wouldn't typically have. And so that's why I encourage you to learn more about what Mark's doing, because that subtle difference is sometimes just that fine line, once again, of being present more, because you do have that little bit or a lot of it, right, of extra income that's going through. So, Mark, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. And I love this conversation. It's been super fun. I really appreciate it. Be able to call you a friend and get to know you are. And when I'm down there again in Phoenix, and by the way, I want to go to the Waste Management Open too. I hear that's a crazy
Oh,
experience.
it's crazy. It's the best people watching of the year. You'll love it.
Okay.
It's incredible.
So I'm looking to go to that in 2027. So, hey, Mark, thank you so much once again for being guest on the Measure Us podcast.
Thanks, Carl.
Now, where I was listening, I encourage you to go see Mark, doing great things, and he's a great person to have on the show. We always appreciate you listening. I encourage you to follow what we're doing, make comments, go check out Mark, the Land Geek. And with that, I was always like to say, wishing you the very best and measuring your success. Have a great day.